The Linden estate sat on the hill like a monument to secrets, marble white, wide-windowed, and far too quiet for a place that large. Amara had been there only 3 days, yet she'd already learned silence was its most sacred rule. The staff spoke in whispers, their eyes downcast, as though the walls themselves were listening. Each morning began the same. The scent of jasmine tea from the solarium, and the distant click of heels that meant Mrs. Vivian Linden was awake. Amara would polish the glass banisters until her reflection blurred into the gleam, pretending not to notice the small figure watching her from the landing above. Elise Linden, 17. Porcelain-skinned, barefoot even in the cold, eyes too knowing for someone who never spoke. They said she'd been born mute, but Amara couldn't quite believe it. Elise watched too closely, lips parted slightly, as if the words were caught just behind them, waiting for permission to come out. "Don't try to engage her," the housekeeper had warned that first day. "The girl doesn't like attention. Her father insists she's delicate. Delicate." That word tasted wrong to Amara now. Elise didn't look delicate. She looked trapped. At night, when the estate fell into shadow, Amara could hear the creak of floorboards above her quarters. Light, rhythmic steps, pacing. Sometimes a faint hum drifted down the hall, low and mournful. And then, one night, just as the clock struck 12, the piano in the drawing room began to play. Soft, slow. A single melody repeated. One Amara didn't recognize, though it sounded almost like a lullaby. She crept to the doorway, her heart hammering. The keys moved, faintly lit by moonlight, but no one sat at the bench. Then she saw Elise standing in the corridor, head tilted, eyes wide and wet. Her small hand trembled as she pointed toward the sound. Amara whispered, "Who's playing?" Elise only turned her gaze toward the piano, and smiled, just barely, as if she already knew. The next night, Amara would follow the sound. The next morning, the piano keys sat still, the melody gone. But its echo lingered in Amara's chest. She moved through her chores distractedly, her eyes drifting to the grand staircase, half expecting to see Elise there again, silent and watching. Days passed, and a quiet rhythm formed between them. Elise would appear whenever Amara cleaned the east wing, never speaking, but always near. She'd follow her from room to room, her presence light as dust, her gaze anchored to Amara as if searching for something she'd lost. One afternoon, while dusting the study, Amara heard a voice, deep, controlled, male. "Miss Elise," said Mr. Linden, "you shouldn't wander without permission." Amara froze behind the door. She couldn't see him, but she could hear the smile in his tone, that kind of practiced gentleness that came with power. Elise's silence pressed against it like glass. A chair scraped, then a sudden slam. When Amara peeked out, Elise stood rigid, her knuckles white around the edge of the piano. Mr. Linden turned and caught Amara's eye. "Curiosity doesn't suit the help," he said pleasantly. "Remember your place." That night, Amara found Elise in the upstairs bathroom, staring into the fogged mirror after her bath. Steam curled around her like mist, her reflection blurred. Slowly, she raised her finger and wrote 3 words on the glass. "I remember it." Amara's breath caught. "Remember what, baby?" she whispered, stepping closer. Elise only turned toward her, lips trembling, eyes full of something, fear, or maybe recognition. Then she wiped the words away before anyone could see. From then on, signs appeared like whispers. A door locked from the inside. A child's drawing half burned in the fireplace. A photo of Mrs. Linden with its face torn clean through. Every discovery tightened the ache in Amara's chest. She began to dream of the basement, the one place forbidden to staff, sealed behind iron locks. Sometimes Elise stood by that door at dawn, her hand resting on the handle as though it called to her. Amara didn't know why, but she felt it too, the pull of whatever truth lay beneath their feet. And when thunder rolled that night, rattling the windows, she heard it again, faint and breathless, Elise's voice for the first time, whispering one word through the storm. Basement. The storm came like a scream through the valley, wind tearing at the shutters, lightning flaring across the marble floors. Amara lay awake, heart pounding to the rhythm of rain. Then came the sound again, soft, uneven footsteps outside her door. She rose barefoot, the candle trembling in her hand. Elise stood in the hall, hair soaked, nightdress clinging to her thin frame. Her lips moved, barely sound at first, then one broken word escaped. Basement. It wasn't loud, but it was enough to shatter the quiet spell that had ruled the house. Amara stared, stunned. The girl who had never spoken was looking straight at her, eyes pleading. Elise, she whispered, show me. Elise turned, moving fast down the corridor, candlelight flickering against the portraits of ancestors who seemed to watch them go. The air grew colder as they reached the locked iron door beneath the staircase. Amara tried the handle. It wouldn't budge. Elise reached into her sleeve and pulled out a small brass key. Her hands shook as she slid it in. The lock gave way with a groan. Inside, the air was stale, sweet with decay. Amara lifted her candle, revealing toys lined neatly on the floor. Porcelain dolls, faded books, a rocking horse half-eaten by time. But something was wrong. On the far wall, crayon drawings. A little girl with yellow hair, another with black curls, both smiling. One had red scribbles over her face. Beneath the drawings lay a small photograph. Two children in matching dresses, holding hands. Elise and someone else. The edge where an adult's arm should be was torn, leaving only a dark smear. Elise, who is she? Amara whispered. Elise pressed her hands to her ears and shook her head violently. Then footsteps, heavy, coming closer. The door burst open. Mr. Linden filled the frame, drenched in stormlight. His voice was low, furious. You had no right to be here. Amara's breath hitched. There's something you're hiding. He stepped forward, smile thin as glass. Pack your things. You're gone by sunrise. Behind him, Elise grabbed Amara's sleeve, trembling, mouthing the words with desperate precision, "Don't leave me." And somewhere deep beneath the thunder, the piano began to play again. The storm had passed by dawn, leaving the estate soaked and silent, except for the wail of sirens climbing the hill. Amara stood in the foyer, her hands trembling, the receiver still warm from the call she'd made hours earlier. She'd whispered the truth into the dark, unsure if anyone would believe a maid over a man like Richard Linden. But now, flashing lights painted the marble walls blue and red. Officers filled the doorway. Mr. Linden descended the staircase in his robe, fury and disbelief carved into his face. "This is obscene," he barked. "You think you can barge into my home because of a servant's hysteria?" Amara didn't flinch. "You've hidden something here," she said softly. And she remembers. Elise appeared behind him, barefoot, her dress wrinkled, her eyes wide and unblinking. He turned, his voice softening instantly. "Sweetheart, you don't have to be frightened. Daddy will." "Don't," Amara warned. "Don't touch her." The tension cracked like thunder. One of the detectives motioned toward the basement door. "We'll search everywhere." Mr. Linden's calm shattered. "You'll find nothing," he roared, lunging forward, but froze as Elise stepped down the last stair. Her lips parted, trembling, sound rising like something dragged from deep underwater. "He," her voice broke, raw and small. "He killed my sister." The words sliced through the room. The policeman stilled. Mr. Linden's face drained of color. Elise's scream became a sob, her knees buckling as the memories flooded back. Two girls in the playroom, an argument, her father's rage, the thud of silence that followed. Mrs. Linden's photograph, the torn edge, it all fit. The affair, the hidden child, the cover-up disguised as tragedy. As they led Mr. Linden away, his shouts echoing down the hall, Elise clung to Amara, trembling violently. The girl's voice, once trapped, now trembling but alive, whispered against her shoulder, "It's over, isn't it?" Amara held her tighter, tears burning her throat. "It's never over, baby," she murmured. "But you're free now." Outside, dawn bled through the rain clouds, pale, cold, and finally awake.